Hello, how are you? Have you ever wondered who really wrote the Bible? Today we'll explore the mysteries and curiosities about the origin of the most influential book in history. And beware, some of this information may surprise you. According to Christian tradition, the first five books of the Bible, known as the Pentateuch, were written by Moses around 1200 BC. But there's a curious detail. The texts contain information that Moses could not have known, such as the description of his own death. This has raised questions throughout history. Studies suggest that, rather than being the work of a single author, the Bible was written by multiple people over centuries, each contributing oral and written accounts that were later compiled. For Christians, divine inspiration is behind every line. For science, the texts are the result of tradition and cultural transmission. The difference between the Old and New Testaments is fundamental. The former recounts the history of the people of Israel before the birth of Jesus. The New Testament, however, begins about 40 years after the crucifixion of Christ and comprises the four Gospels attributed to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But were these books really written by them? Many scholars believe that the authors' names were attached to the text to lend credibility. Another highlight is Paul's letters. Of the 13 epistles attributed to him, only 7 are considered authentic. The rest may have been written by Paul's followers to spread the Christian doctrine. The formation of the Bible is also fascinating. The Old Testament was compiled based on sacred Jewish texts, while the New Testament went through a selection process conducted by the early church to identify which texts had true divine inspiration. There are also the so-called apocryphal books, which were not included in the official canon. Some of these texts present different accounts of the life of Jesus and his followers. Among them is the Gospel of Thomas, which tells curious stories about Jesus' childhood, such as the time he supposedly turned clay birds into real ones. These apocryphal books are viewed by the church as either fanciful accounts or of dubious authenticity. Nevertheless, they offer an interesting perspective on how different Christian groups understood Jesus. Speaking of curiosities, did you know that the Psalms contain songs and poems written over a span of hundreds of years by multiple authors, including King David? Some scholars believe that certain psalms were adapted or reworked long after their original composition to reflect the needs and beliefs of later communities, blending ancient tradition with evolving religious practices. Now, I want to know your opinion. What do you think about all this information? Was the Bible really written by those it is attributed to, or were there many alterations over time? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and activate the bell for more videos. It's always good to have you here with me. Until next time, and may God bless you greatly.